Hello, everyone, and happy Friday, and welcome to another episode of Mavens of Manufacturing, the video broadcast series that features women all the way from the shop floor to the C-suite who are setting the new standards of modern day manufacturing. Today, I'm really excited because I have not only a colleague of mine, but a good friend, I would like to say, that we've turned into, Angela Thurman from Thurman Company. How are you this morning, Angela?
I'm fine, Megan. I'm so glad to be here with you.
I really appreciate you taking the time to join me. You started a company a couple of years ago. I think it's 2 years now. It might
Oh,
have been
just
less.
just one, just one
Just
year.
1 year. Okay. And so I'm really excited to jump more into that. But first, I would like to start off with a little background information about yourself. So can you let everyone here know who Angela is and how you entered this crazy sector that we love so much, manufacturing and engineering?
Sure. So my background is I'm an electrical engineer, and I have a master's degree in telecommunications. And I actually got into manufacturing when I graduated from my bachelor's program. I had an opportunity because I was I had a job when I graduated. I was going to go to work for NASA. At that time, it was NASA Lewis. It's now known as NASA Glenn in Cleveland, Ohio. But
Okay.
because of the way um, the hiring process worked, I wasn't going to be able to start my job until after Labor Day. So I had a whole summer just at odds. And so I took an internship with a local company in Oklahoma, extreme northeast Oklahoma, that manufactured high grade silicon and germanium and other infrared and semiconductor products for like helicopter and tank infrared optical windows. So if you think about the night vision systems that might be on a helicopter, they made the windows that went on the helicopters or tanks or other, and many other applications.
Okay.
So I was an intern in the lab working with a physicist, and so I got some experience, on the shop floor with all of the CNC mills and the polishing and the grinding, and even the big giant Big Bertha ovens that melted down the raw metal and cast it into the blanks that would go then to the mills to be formed into these very specific um, um, sizes for different applications. So it was very dirty in there.
Yeah.
And because of the cost of this material, they were really good about recapturing that, even like washing the uniforms of the workers.
See, and I think that's such an interesting perspective of it too, because manufacturing has evolved so much from what it used to be. And, some of the misconceptions of it still being that dirty, dark, dull, dangerous place. Yeah, you have those situations and those instances, but recently now there's a lot of advanced technologies and there's
Yes.
more things involved with like electronics and robotics and engineering. So even though we don't have that as much, we don't hear about that stuff as much as we used to, it's great to hear that that's where you started from. But
Mhm.
even still, like, not everybody dislikes getting dirty or dislikes those dangerous parts of it. So when you were in high school, was this something that you wanted to do and pursue? Were you always good at math and science, or, did you kind of fall into it by accident? And um, real quick, I want to shout out to everybody who's chiming in. We have Zakaria. Hello, everyone. We have Christina Harrington. Hi, Christina. And then we also have Kathy Taylor on here. Thank you for joining us, everyone. But yeah, just was this something that you always wanted to pursue, or was it something that you just didn't really know anything about and kind of fell into it by accident and fell in love with it?
Well, I was always good at math and science, and I thought that I'm going to grow up to be a math teacher or a science teacher. But I'm from Arkansas, and
Okay.
at that time, Arkansas and Mississippi battled it out to see who could pay their teachers the least.
Oh,
and 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 I realized if I take some engineering courses and I become an engineer instead of a math teacher, I won't have to live on food stamps. so
right.
so
I
I just
still feel like teachers are getting underpaid today,
oh,
as
absolutely,
they're
absolutely.
one of the groups who are the least paid for all of the stuff that they have to deal with. So, unfortunately, that's
That's
still a
that's a
thing.
whole other conversation.
Yeah, yeah. So you talked about some of these courses that you took, and
Mhm.
who who were some of your main mentors, and who inspired you the most during that time to
Oh
kind of go into that
gosh.
direction?
Well, definitely my science teacher, um, my math teacher throughout high school, and then also I was very fortunate that during growing up, um, the chair of the science division and the chair of the engineering division of the local university in my hometown were deacons in my church, and
Oh,
and they encouraged me and really um, you know helped me. I mean, the man that was the chair of the engineering division actually, when I was 16, gave me a subscription to Woman Engineer magazine. So,
oh, okay.
that was a great encouragement. And he just really helped a lot. And then later he was one of my teachers. He was, the head of the division, helped me with all kinds of things. And in fact, he um, he took me on a mission trip with some other students to Ecuador, and we spent a summer at a shortwave radio station in the Andes. And
Okay.
I learned so much, very practical stuff, but also antenna design theory, and that was a great experience, a once in a lifetime thing, and it broadened my horizons as far as here I was, this girl from this really small town in the Ozark Mountains, and that was the first time I'd ever traveled anywhere,
Hmm.
and and now I've got a great love for travel and different cultures and things like that.
So, with all of that experience bringing us to where we are today, um, I want to know a little bit more about some of the companies that you worked for, because
Uh-huh.
you've worked with some pretty big manufacturing companies, and you did a lot of project management stuff, which I think is huge in manufacturing. There's a lot of companies that need help uh, getting some of their stuff organized and keeping track of everything. And I think you have a lot of good information surrounding project management and the importance that it is in within manufacturing. So, after you graduated high school and you went through college, you know, what did your journey look like after those two phases in your life?
So, as I said earlier, my first job, my first real job out of college was with NASA. So I was so grateful to be selected as an electrical engineer for the space station program. So,
Okay.
and it's really a great story because I was on that project, that summer missions project in the Andes. I met those missionaries, and they needed a switching power supply. So
Okay.
my senior design project was to build a switching power supply for these missionaries. And then um, when I interviewed at NASA, they're like, okay, so switching power supply, that's your background. I'm like, yes. And they actually needed someone to basically oversee a project where TRW and Westinghouse were building switching power supplies, load converters for the space station. And there had been a full-page ad in Woman Engineer magazine for NASA Lewis, and that's why I applied. So, so they hired me, and then that's what I did, was to basically, I was an engineer acting as a project manager for load converter designs for the space station, and it was great. I loved it.
So can you explain what a day in the life then looks like, what it looked like for you as a project manager? Because that wasn't something that you applied for initially, right? It wasn't like, okay, we need a project manager for this, or was that what
No,
you
I just
applied
I
for?
just applied for a
You
job,
just
any job
applied?
at NASA.
Yeah. So, and then you fell into this project management position. So, um, what did a day in the life like for you within that position? And was it intimidating? Because if I applied and then all of a sudden they're like, hey, we want you to do this, and I had no experience in it, I would be like, wait a minute, why would I, that's not what I expected to do here. Like, how was your reaction to that?
Well, in school, we had been given some, basic project management training. I mean, I knew
Okay.
what earned value theory was, and just basic stuff like that. And in the course of doing my senior design project, I had to give reports on my schedule and my budget for the project, just like any project manager would. And but at NASA, it was very intimidating. So I started when I was 23, and probably the average age of engineers at NASA at that time was about 50.
Wow.
Well, it was post the Apollo
Hmm.
period, and it was space shuttle was well, it was post Columbia, and
Okay.
and so I was actually there. I had just started. It was like 2 weeks before the return to flight, and
Okay.
so I'm saying, hey, they just had to hire me, and space shuttle's back in service, and so that was really exciting. But so I was monitoring a couple of these two different vendors, TRW and Westinghouse, and they
Hmm.
they had different designs, they had different approaches, and basically my job as a 23-year-old female fresh out of college was to tell these very mature, um, technically, rock solid guys, men, that you're behind schedule, you're over budget. At the rate you're spending money, this should have been done 3 years ago, and
Uh,
that kind of thing, and to get them to deliver the next version, to get them on track and that sort of thing.
that's
And
great though. Like, what a great experience.
yeah,
That to get that right out of the bat and gain the respect of people who've been in the sector for longer than you were at that point,
yeah.
and then to get them to respect you and follow what you needed to do, that shows a lot about your skill set and how good you are at what you do.
Well, I really was blessed in that, because NASA Lewis is in Cleveland, or it's now NASA Glenn. Its proximity to the Baldwin Wallace College, where Dr. Harold Gerstner teaches, was
Okay.
fantastic. So Dr. Gerstner is the godfather of modern project management theory, and NASA would bring him in to teach us, the young
Wow.
engineers, project management. So I literally learned at the feet of the master project management. And I have his book on my shelf.
You
And
showed that to me before.
Yeah, so it was fantastic, and you couldn't have gotten a better education in project management than to have learned from Dr. Gerstner.
That's such a cool experience too, because people will pay high dollar for that type of knowledge, and to bring it in and to be able to work at a well-known company who was doing major things at that time, and then bringing someone like him in,
Mhm.
like what a great opportunity for you. We have Kathy who's making a couple comments. Angela makes her education and skills journey sound inviting, encouraging, and then she says, "Great questions, Meaghan." And then we have Tyson, amazing mentors, Angela. Thank you all
Yes.
for joining us as well too. If you have questions for Angela, feel free to drop them in the comments, because it doesn't have to just be me to ask questions for our guests. You guys can join in on the question asking as well. Um, so after your experience, with some of these major companies and handling these big projects that I'm I'm sure were billions of dollars or millions of dollars at the time,
Well,
you just thought, go
yeah.
ahead.
I mean, my project was, yeah, many millions of dollars. I literally I literally blew up two load converters. That, I mean, they were each $250,000 in the
Wow.
lab, because of course part of what you're doing in a lab environment is testing them, and you want everything
Right.
that goes to space to be very safe. And
Mhm.
you, in the testing environment, you design tests to fully test everything before it would ever go into space. So when I blew them up, I turned to the vendor and I'm like, well, it obviously wasn't fail safe now, was it? They had to go back and, redesign the circuits.
That's super funny. Well, and at least, you probably saved someone's life doing that. You
Oh,
you got to
yeah,
make sure,
yeah,
especially in
yeah.
aerospace, you can't have errors like that.
Yeah,
Which is
well, on the
highly
space
stressful.
station, no, there's no exit plan.
Right. So now you have your own business. So
Yes.
can you explain a little bit more about your business and what inspired you to start your own business, and who your target customer base is, and some of the solutions you're providing?
Hmm. So, most recently, I worked for a large U.S. Aeronautics company or aviation company, so aerospace,
Hmm.
and I was managing many complex products that would then be sold to customers like Boeing and
Okay.
Airbus, Bombardier, and so forth. All of the airlines would purchase their aircraft. So you've probably flown on one of these airlines or aircraft. And so during the pandemic, airlines shut down. They stopped buying new aircraft, and the production lines of these aircraft just shut down, or were greatly restricted. So, so I, like many other people in that industry, found myself without a job. And at the end of 2020, I'm looking around. I'm trying to think, well, what do I want to do next?
Hmm.
Living in Houston, there's great opportunity in many industries, including aerospace, and of course we've got
Hmm.
NASA Johnson right here as well. So I had applied with a job, and I was in the interview process with Boeing for a job to support the space program.
Okay.
I've worked from home for about 7 years, and I really like this lifestyle. I have three little dogs. They're used to having me at home. And the thought of commuting over an hour one way was not something I got really excited about. So I decided to withdraw from that process and to just launch my own business,
Hmm.
um, to offer the services that I do every day to the market. So that is primarily project management, but also contract management and supplier management. So
Okay.
I had originally envisioned that it would just be me and that I would be a consultant. But one thing led to another, and I now have a team of project managers and my fabulous right hand assistant, Robin, to help me. And we offer services to help small to medium sized organizations, primarily in highly regulated industries,
Okay.
keep their projects or even established projects, project management systems, um, so that they can focus on getting the best results.
Okay. Now, for someone like me who's not a subject matter expert in this, you mentioned three different types of management. You contract management, project management, and supply management.
Mhm.
And my curiosity is kicking in right now. So what are the differences between those three types of management? Because this is new to me.
New ground. Okay, so project management, you're going to be focused on. Okay, project management is it's time bound, and
Okay.
you're going to be focused on a specific scope of work.
Yep. Yep.
It'll start and finish. You'll accomplish these tasks, these requirements, and you're going to be concerned about the cost, the
Mm-hmm.
budget, and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
With contract management, I am not an attorney. Let me make that perfectly clear. But
Okay.
I did go to law school for a couple of years, particularly focused on contracts. So
Okay.
we're interested in helping our customers evaluate contracts from a technical perspective to make sure
Oh.
if this contract can be perfectly legal, but is it technically feasible? Or are there some gaps? And then
Okay.
also, a contract has a life cycle as well. So, do
Yep.
you have systems in place to help you manage your contract life cycle? So, just like
Okay.
you have team members coming and going in other areas of your business,
Mm-hmm.
you probably have team members coming and going in your contract management um, area as well. And do you have the systems in place to help them be successful? Or are they just having to rifle through a stack of papers trying to figure out what does all this mean and how did we
Gotcha.
get where we are?
Okay. And then you
And
said supply management. Is that
supply,
dealing with like the supply chain stuff going on?
it is. And
Okay.
our focus on supply chain is helping you evaluate your supply chain risk. So,
Okay.
are you evaluating their capability and their capacity to produce a quality product on time every time?
Wow. I see, and I was lumping it all under project management.
It does. It does. Those areas are part of project management, but they can be broken out for a really deep dive.
See, and I'm glad I asked that. I was nervous to ask because I was like, this seems really obvious, but I'm sure there's more into it. So that's why I wanted to clarify that. Christina Harrington, such a great story, Angela. Learning from talented leaders and practitioners before us are so important in our personal development. We have Ingor on. Hi, Ingor. Thank you for joining us. She's amazing. Hello, Megan and Angela. Happy Friday. I hope you both have had an awesome week. Congratulations on the growth of Thurman Company, Angela. And then Gonzalo, fantastic, Angela and Kathy Taylor. Loved working from home as a project consultant and having a support team. That's one of the things that I'm like working on as well. So I agree with you. There are advantages of working from home, and I absolutely love that you're being successful doing that because it was for me. I don't know if you had the same fears, but I was really scared to pull that plug from having that cushion of consistency, and then switching over to something where I'm in charge and creating my own schedule and taking on projects that I really wanted to take on and working with people that I really wanted to work with was really intimidating for me. And I feel like within this sector of manufacturing, there's so many opportunities to gain so many different types of skills and even improve on your own niche skills that if you do decide to go the entrepreneur real, I need more coffee, entrepreneurial route, it gives you that strong foundation to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. It was a really scary time for me. So I'm glad to see that you're growing and you have a team. Robin is fantastic. I've had several conversations with her before, and I know I'm going to reach out to you to see how you went about finding her because at some point I'm going to need a virtual assistant because doing this stuff on your own is definitely a hard thing to do. One of the things that you included on your profile when we were setting up this conversation was that we must seek continuous improvement every day in order to secure a seat at the global economic table. And that really caught my attention. And I wanted you to elaborate more on what that means to you because, as you know, manufacturing is facing this skills gap, and other people are calling it a training gap.
Mm-hmm.
And, automation is really um, increasing in a lot of areas because that's part of the solution for the skills gap. But
Mm-hmm.
it goes deeper than that. And I think this continuous improvement idea that you highlighted so much is part of that solution as well too. So can you elaborate on what you mean by what you said and why that's important for us to keep in our mind for
Sure,
manufacturing?
sure. So, in my last company, I was a certified lean master, and I I think that it's up to all of us to look for ways to eliminate waste, so
Hmm.
that we can produce our results, whether it's manufacturing a product or producing a service, without adding waste. And
Hmm.
that will then help us perform that duty at the best possible price and with the best possible quality. And
Okay.
that's how we keep our services and our products competitive in the global market. And so those continuous improvement activities can be um, very simple, and um, they can be great big projects, but it can start as simply as performing a 5S cleanup in your work area, or looking for ways to um, implement best practices among your team, creating templates that you share among your team, and
Hmm.
you, you make things repeatable. And 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 then you can think about the bigger, more challenging activities, like leaning out your production line and eliminating um, the movement, like having to carry a tote from here to there,
Hmm.
or um, reducing excess inventory, and those
Hmm.
sorts of things.
Okay. That's so interesting to me too, because I think continuous improvement can mean a lot of different things depending on
Yes.
what area you're in. And
Mm-hmm.
I think it all meshes well together in terms of what we need to do to find solutions to keep us going and maintain a strong manufacturing foundation. And then on the other side of things, how are we going to start building that next generation workforce and getting more individuals excited about joining it. So that's really interesting to me. One of the questions I didn't include in uh, the pre-write up when I sent this out to you, and I just thought of it because I'm always curious about people's favorites. And you are a great project manager, and you've you've sent me some things to help organize my time in terms, because I'm terrible with spreadsheets. It's something that I'm trying to improve on because they are helpful, and I'm just really slow at them. So I'm still learning how to be more efficient in creating them. But as a project manager, this is a two-part question. One, what is your favorite tool or platform that you use as a project manager? And then the second part of that is, for any company that you're helping or any company who needs help, what is an essential tool that they need in their toolbox in terms of project management?
Well, that's
And if it's
good.
the same answer, that's fine.
Well, as a project manager, I love Microsoft projects and
Okay.
all of the things that it can do for you, but you don't have to use all of those bells and whistles to make it work for you. So
Okay.
it can be very, very simple or really neat, depending on how much you choose to adopt.
Okay.
And then one of the tools that I've learned to use this year, and people will get tired of hearing me say this, is Airtable. I love Airtable because it it's like spreadsheets on steroids,
Okay.
but because it can be a very, very simple spreadsheet format,
Okay.
but it has the ability to do so much more. So Robin and I use this all the time, and we
Okay.
love that the very same data can be represented in different views. So let's say I want to see it in a Gantt chart, but she wants to see it in calendar. It's up to the individual to choose their view. And if she looks at it in a calendar view, it doesn't disrupt my ability to see it in a Gantt chart. And I just love that.
That's such a great point too, because Gantt charts can be really confusing. Well, for me personally, because I'm not used to them, but I've worked with them before, and initially they were really confusing for me because I was just like, what is going on with this? And I like things either in like a Kanban board or a
Yes.
calendar view. I love both of those. Those are my go-to. So that's really interesting that it allows you, depending on who you are as an individual, to switch to your personal view. I like that a lot. Um, so
And you
before I let you
color
go,
code things, and I mean, which I'm
yeah,
visual that way. I like things color coded.
I should look that up because currently what I'm using is ClickUp, I think it's called.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it's interesting. It gives you that opportunity to choose multiple views, but I'm still learning how to use it because it was something that I looked up, and the images are what got me because their marketing materials are really colorful. And I was like, oh, I'm going to dig into this. And then I found myself in a hole falling further and further down. And now I'm using it. So I don't know if it's the best tool for me, but I'm going to look up Airtable after this
Oh, I'll send
conversation.
you an invite.
Okay, awesome. Well, Angela, we're coming up on time here, and I just wanted to thank you again for coming on to Mavens of Manufacturing. But before I let you go, I'm always curious to know what your biggest ask would be. So if you needed something, or if there was something keeping you up at night, what would your biggest ask be for our audience who's tuning in today?
Oh goodness, I would just ask that your organization take a look at your project management needs,
Mhm.
and whether it's something big or something small, temporary, that that you consider hiring a consultant to help you. And whether it's Thurman Co or someone else, just think about the benefits of bringing on a subject matter expert to help you through that next hurdle.
That's a great point. Project management is very complex. And there's a lot of moving parts, and if you're not used to doing it, I used to work at a manufacturing company, and they actually put me through one training course of project management.
Mhm.
And there was this misconception that I was a pro then, and I was like, I don't think you understand that the really good project managers have been doing this for years. And I just went through one course, and I feel like there's more to it than just this one course. And there's a lot of moving parts. So if you aren't using a project manager or you don't have someone, I fully agree with you, Angela. Look into consulting and get a subject matter expert, because there might be some things you're overlooking that they can see right away and help you with and incorporate all of that into your process so that you're running more efficiently. So I definitely agree with that. For anyone who's curious about Thurman Company and they want to get more information, where should they go and who should they contact?
Um, you can contact me through my website, which is www.thurmanco.com, or you can connect with me on LinkedIn. And Meaghan, just one more thing. A true project management subject matter expert is most likely going to be a certified project management professional, certified by the Project Management Institute.
That's really good information to know. I've heard of that institute before, and I feel like that's a vital piece of information because some people claim to be project managers and they don't have that certification on their profile. So that's really good information. So if you want a reliable source, make sure they have that certification. Thank you for
Yes.
bringing that up. Well, again, Angela, thank you. It's so nice to chat with you, and I'm so happy for your growth and your continued success. And I really appreciate you taking the time coming on here and having a conversation. Hopefully, we get to meet in person. I know you're part of the Texas chapter of Women in Manufacturing. So for those of you who are not familiar with WIM, please follow them and look into them because they're a great organization helping uplift women in the sector, and they have a lot of great resources. And if you're in Texas, contact Angela about that too, because
Yes.
she's on your chair for it, and
I'm the
you can
secretary and
oh,
membership.
secretary, yep. So
Yep.
she can get you connected to the events that they have going on in Texas. So have a great weekend, everyone. Thank you, and make sure to tune in next week for another episode of Mavens of Manufacturing. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
This has been another episode of Mavens of Manufacturing. Subscribe for more and make sure to tune in next time.